Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. Glad you're able to join us tonight. I want to welcome, if there's anyone new in the chat that hasn't been here before, thank you for being here. Welcome. And look forward for you participating in chat. A little thing, as always in chat, respect mods, respect families, and respect each other, and enjoy your time. On the Morning Watch crew here, we're a little bit different than the more structured ones that we have at the 8 o'clock on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. But on Morning Watch, like I said, we talk a little bit about true crime, and then somewhere along the way, someone will jump in with some either pancakes, waffles, or some type of food additive. But Indiana Bones is with me tonight. Waffles is not. But Mrs. Steve and I were discussing. We used to do a thing called Coffee and Clues for the fact that we drink a lot of coffee. But we may change the name of Coffee and Clues to Waffles and Clues for the fact that Waffles is now an official part of our channel, and especially the Morning Watch people. And we absolutely appreciate everyone participating. But let's see who's in chat before we discuss a little bit about Koberger. And we got BG Copper Horse is here. Thank you. Let's see. Let's get my chat scrolling here. And Kay, good to see you. Southern Gal True Crime. Southern Gal has had an anniversary. Well, happy anniversary. Let's see here. Jocelyn's in the house. Good to see you. See through WL22. Dwayne's prospecting here. Josh the Posh, how you doing? And Triple S, howdy. Madison Stephen, good to see you. Lisa, Danielle, Mitzi, Stacy. Let's see here. Michaela, Where the Wind Blows. Indiana Bones, that's correct. That's who's with us tonight. We decided to go with Indiana Bones. What in the world? Oh, okay. I found a new bone I hadn't seen back there. I might have to look up and see what the official name of that one is. It looks like canine teeth. Okay. Waffle Up. Okay. Where the Wind Blows. Ann's already got her menu out. Strawberry waffles. We have a freezer full of strawberry shortcake upstairs. Lisa, good to see you. Michelle C, good to see you. Todd, how you doing? Lala's here. Debbie. And unabashed. I know I forget how to pronounce all that. Yes, it's been a while. I've already forgot how to pronounce your full name there. GCB, good to see you. Golden Fire, you made it to the beginning of one. I'm glad to see you here at the beginning of one. But drone footage. I've been was just watching some drone footage. Stunning, huh? I had my drone out earlier today, flying it, doing some control test on a code case I'm working, and I got some pretty good images of it. Also doing some firearm testing, shooting through some materials that I bought last week. But anyway, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about crime. If you have any information on the homicides involving Koberger of Madison, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana. Absolutely make sure law enforcement has that information for the fact that as we move forward with this. But there was some news came out today. I was happy with the numbers as far as the DNA profile that they had with the father of Koberger and the connection they'd made to Koberger, that being his DNA profile, that it would be one of the children of. And I was happy with those numbers. But now with the new numbers, and I had to look up those new numbers, that they did an analysis of the cheek swab that was obtained directly from Koberger, and comparison revealed an overwhelming statistical match. Specifically, STR profile at least 5.37 octillion times more likely to be seen if defendant is the source than if unrelated individual randomly selected from the general population is the source, document said. Okay. And I don't know if I'd ever heard that number before in my life, octillion. So I went and looked at it, and how many zeros does octillion have? And it's 27. And hopefully I wrote the number down correctly. I hope there's 27 zeros here on this number, but that's what it would look like. And I can guarantee you this: I'll never have this many views. I'll never have that much money. There's a lot of things I'll never have that is in the octillions. And then, I printed out a little chart here that tells you about all these different numbers. You get after a trillion, you've got me. I can get you up to a trillion, but after that, I'm pretty well useless. But I just found it curious that, and I knew those numbers existed, but I just didn't know how they called them and what they called them. But also another case that we're looking at this week that's we're hoping comes out with some more critical information is on the Delphi homicides. If you have any information on Libya Abbey, absolutely, once again, make sure law enforcement has it as justice is going through the court system, and Richard Allen faces these charges. And we know we have a trial set, and we know that there's supposed to be a limited release of, and I thought I heard today 100 and something pages of something. And then, of course, we got the ballistic hearing that has been postponed. But anyway, with that being said, let's go back in here in the chat and see if anything's happening. And Copper Horse. I don't know who all was on the out there and about today. Unabashedly, yes. For whatever reason, I cannot put that together. But I don't know how you ever came up with that. That is absolutely brilliant. Oh, me. Unabashedly. Octillion. Yeah. $49,000 was amount hidden in Building 7. I would agree. I have no. Actually, when I was looking up octillion, something popped up that there's only so many octillion atoms or something in your human body. So it's every atom that makes up a human body is in the octillion. So if you could, or something along those, it may not be atoms, but it was something along those lines. And so I was impressed with that number. I don't even know how you come up with that stat. I'm sure there's algorithms and calculators out there that if you have this many possibilities times this, that's what it comes up with. But I found that amazing. And who sits around and tries to figure out those numbers. They have a little bit of time on their hands. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. Mitzi, dang, my God. Yeah, I don't have any idea about that stuff. There's Grace. Good to see you. Ann says, you watch. BK's going to say that knife sheath was stolen from his apartment weeks before the crime, or that he was at a knife sway and touched it but didn't buy it. Just watch. Anything's possible. And, but what are the odds that you would get up in the morning hours and your phone would be off during the exact time that this has happened, and you also was your device is connected with their Wi-Fi at one point, and you had been in the area now, and that's in a different state. I could see where it's more plausible if the homicide had occurred at his campus at his university versus another state and a neighboring university. So hopefully between, and when you add up both of those, hopefully it's ridiculous that he'll attempt that, but it's very possible. Rocky Mountain Woman. I love that name. You made it to the live. I'm glad you did. Now, this is probably as close to anything as I'll ever get is the octillion calories from the Waffle House meal. And actually, Mrs. Steve and I took her out tonight, and we went to the Waffle House. She had hash browns and a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich is what. So her calorie count was a little bit higher than mine. I just had waffle and bacon, but she went whole hog tonight. She she didn't eat much of a lunch, and she was starved. Yes, Grace. That's the number I was trying to think of. Which after I was doing the octillion stuff, I got sidetracked and I forgot how many pages, and they're having to review it and everything. Yeah, just a total of whatever the 27 zeros would be. I had the 1 trillion wrote out, and then I went to the when I was reading it, it said 5.37, I think, or whatever that number was, and so I went back and put that the 5 point in there, took out a couple of zeros, but kept their places. Yeah, that is beyond my pay grade. And luckily, that was not on any of my tests in school. How many zeros in octillion? I'm sure there's a reason that we need that number for just this case, I guess. Let's see here. Jocelyn, good to see you. Mary, tax cut. I love that. Tax cut. Hello, streamer. Good to see you. You got a sense of humor. As Gail, good to see you. Yes, and I also believe that there's other DNA within that crime scene, and I think it's just a matter of time. They may already have it, and they're just keeping that loaded up for the whenever and whatever happens in court. But now DNA is hard to find. Like I said, I've worked cases and sent things to the lab and had to multiple times before we got a DNA profile, knowing that there's DNA there and that it's impossible, that if certain things occur and certain contacts made, then of course there's DNA. And I believe that one of the 4 victims, at least one of them, would have been able to have some type of transfer. and either clothing, skin, fingernails, whatever, hair, it's there. And hopefully they find it. Yes, wonder what Carroll County Sheriff's Department filed, and I don't know. And they said that they were trying to get a say in the case, and I don't know. Delphi, the bullet. Another channel claims that the FBI team in Delphi looked at the bullet and determined it could not be traced to a person. Thoughts? Um, we're in the affidavit. It says it can be. Now, what information is this, and who is the expert? And you'll have differing opinions, even with experts at time. And I've been there. And it happens even with fingerprints. That some experts will say a certain fingerprint is of an individual, and other experts won't. So I could see that possibility could exist with the firearms experts that are looking at this and seeing those whatever type of characteristics that are identifiable on that casing. And but but like I said, experts disagree all the time, and it's a great thing that they will, for the fact that it holds those that uh, just wildly make claims. It holds them to a standard that others will absolutely butcher them and bring out their issues. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. And I absolutely agree with you where the wind blows. It's in there. Uh, if if he was in there and he did those crimes, his DNA's in there. There's no way that you can fight four individuals, get on the beds, get off the bed, and you don't have some type of transfer. I don't see it happening. Hey, GCB has wrote some. I guess that may be October 8, October, whatever. Okay. It takes 1 million supermarket to fertilize one egg because they won't stop and ask for direction. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Miss Irene, dated law enforcement. His sleep schedule was a mess. You too, Mr. C. Yes. I enjoyed working night shifts because wearing that vest right there, here in the Georgia heat, and I worked daylight. Started, and I worked road patrol and daytime also, and the the Georgia heat and the humidity. It was not uncommon that when you wear that, um, your body weight from the time that you dehydrate to you rehydrate, you'll go 5 to 7 pounds a day. It's absolutely miserable. You're absolutely soaking. Um, and will they ever correct that? I don't know. I'm sure that they came out with stuff trying to keep you cool, but it's it was a miserable thing to wear, but it was a necessity, and it saved me. Um, I was never Now I was shot at, but I was never hit. But for my vest to save me. But now in some close quarter battles and fights and things, it saved my ribs a couple of three times from getting broken. I was kicked and everything else that you can imagine, and punched, and it will absorb a lot of that energy. And so I give it credit where it's due. Octillion odds. That's correct, Stacy. Well, unabashedly, you fell 3 months ago, broke your right shoulder, arm, and fractured pelvis. So oh my goodness, um, you have recovered. I am so glad. Wow. I don't know what you fell off of, but that was a terrible fall. Yeah, it's improbable odds, but nothing is impossible. But you know, when the odds out number the population, it's pretty steep. Okay. Meant to type knife swat. It's ridiculous. That's what defense lawyers are paid to dream up excuses. That's funny. Chris Owens. Um, Chris Owens says, I heard that the documents are just going to be a bunch of boring, improperly sealed motions and petitions from the prosecution and defense. In that case, I'm not reading the documents. And I have heard the same too, but it still doesn't change my opinion of what I want to see. I want to see the search warrant for the vehicle and the search warrant for the house and the returns on each, for the fact that there'll be a lot of details in that. And now, will they allow that and will it come out? I don't know. At some point, it will. And when it does, we'll look back at some of the processing and that I did on the vehicles and on the crime scene, and see what processes they used. Yes, just hearing some of the details regarding the Kohlberg case is very frightening. Yes, there's nothing that's when you go into and you see these crime scenes, and I've seen victims that have been attacked by every weapon you can imagine, and it's not always what you would have originally think a weapon is. I mean, I've seen people suffer injuries from screwdrivers, hammers, um, pry bars, ball bats, um, you know, uh, cue sticks. It doesn't matter. I mean, a human will use, and what they will do to another human is absolutely disturbing. Um, and you get desensitized to it. By the time you're an investigator, early on, from the time that you start off your career, wherever it is, in the jail or your early days and those early years when you're on road patrol, as you progress, you see all the injuries and the deaths from the traffic accidents and the um, uh, first responders going to anything and everything you can imagine. Because if we're close, we go. If it's a medical emergency, we go. And if we hear the call, we're out there. And so you start getting desensitized early on in your career. And by the time you get to being an investigator, and the time you start getting into the CSI world of it and the homicides, there's not much that shocks you when you see what one human will do to another. And this is absolutely terrible that uh, not that uh, you had a great day, but that there's searching for that submersible that went down to the Titanic. I cannot imagine now the resources that are going to be brought to bear by all the um, uh, people involved and the governments involved, because these people um, that are missing, they're extremely powerful people, extremely rich people, and you cannot, there's the resources and the monies and the experts that's going to be looking at this, and the answers that will have to be answered about why this occurred is sad. And so, um, you know, let's try to be as positive as we can, even in, you know, every hour, every minute, every day, it gets less and less, but all we can do is hope for a miracle. Waffle, Waffle House is officially changing their name to Octillions. True story. Okay, Ty. Um, I can tell you that the odds of that is greater than one in octillion. Um, Mr. Steve, what did you get for Father's Day? I'm thinking of a new supply of synthetic blood. I got what every man that has everything got. Uh, and it's the same thing. I teased Mrs. Steve about, what do you get a woman that has everything? It's simple. ammunition, you know, and and that's what I generally get. If nothing else, I get ammunition. Feed your poor woman. Well, she, I offer every day, what do you want for lunch? I'll fix me something. And so I leave her at her own um, uh, of what she wants to go. Lisa had a egg salad sandwich on toast. My mother-in-law used to make the greatest egg salad. Um, but as people age, at a certain point, they forget certain ingredients. And so it's nothing like it used to be. And I'm with you, that taking people in that tub and those waters, and I do hope they do survive. And I hope that's not DCB. I hope octillion is not the number to retire. Um, I hope it's not even a million. Golden fire. Let's see here. And Jocelyn, I'm with you. I hope there is more DNA. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big number. It is a huge number. Huh. Lisa says she saw 4 running from house in cop video. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Badger Mama. Glad to see you here. I'm glad you made it to the midnight show. Ann said, "Did you see Ruckus Rock's latest video where he discusses all the details about Allen's incarceration from his professional experience point of view? It's very well done." Yes, I was in there for a few minutes, and Ruckus, he knows his. He went into that part and did it for many years as far as the corrections. And I started off my career in the jail, and um, only you see, I was in the jail probably just over a year until I got mandated, and then I went to the road, and so I didn't spend anywhere near the amount of time that he did. And but yes, he's well versed in those handlings. Grace says, they have Richard Allen's DNA. So if law enforcement had DNA, in my opinion, it doesn't match his. I would think. Thoughts? I don't know if they found DNA at the crime scene. I know they had a partial, but and I believe that Richard Allen's DNA, if he's at the crime scene, of course, there's bullets there, and so the have they just haven't found it. Will they find it? I believe so. Absolutely do so. Let's see here. Oh, we got a super sticker here where the wind blows $3. Thank you. Appreciate it. There's blue light. And I've seen that I've got some more. I've just got to find where there's some others that have also contributed. And I appreciate all y'all support because it allows us to do uh, things that we couldn't do. And I never expected this channel to be able to go out and do that. Very, very nice of you. And I'll appreciate that. Yeah, and they did. They removed all that hype stuff about Richard Allen. It's crazy. Yeah. Um, Question: Do you think law enforcement were able to find blood evidence in Richard Allen's vehicle since it was over 5 years? If it was there, and there's certain parts of that vehicle, if he wore his seatbelt, and if he is the guy walking up the side of the road that's muddy and bloody, Yes, because other than getting into the creek and washing off, you're limited about how much you can um, clean up. Josh just says just going to check in for a little bit and got to sleep. All right, I'm glad you made it. And even the motions, Ivy Rose, you're right. I don't know how many motions been made, but and there's supposed to be a lot of documents unsealed. Even the motions will tell you what the concerns of the courts are. So of each of the prosecution and the defense. Lucy says that she's been to Georgia, and yes, it is absolutely. If you get down here in certain parts of the year, it's absolutely unreal. There's Frank. Good to see you. Marbles. Good to see you. Rothschilds were in that submarine. If you know who they are, yes. Addison Steve. Thank you. Um, $10 Canadian. Thank you, Mr. Steve, for all you do. I appreciate it. And like I said, we could not do what we do and travel and assist these families and buy the equipment and the that's necessary for us to go out and pay for the travels uh, for our search team, even the team that came down into Texas. And, these families appreciate it. Oh man, if people, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Now the technologies, of course, making road travel safer, but still, there's un, unreal the numbers of traffic deaths out there. Sad, but there's nothing, like I said, about anything and everything. Vehicles traveling, I've seen semis and vehicles collide head on, and what that does to a human is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, did I don't remember if I turned on the blue for the last donation or not. Um, There's Fig. Yes, Fig and I were texting the other day. We had I saw something that I found. I saw that struck my funny bone, and I contacted him. We had a great little discussion about it, and I'd love. But yes, Fig, just let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you and talking to you. Yes, ammunition. Like I said, it's what when Mrs. Steve and I can't figure out what to get each other, ammunition. Now, there's nothing says true love than buying a woman ammunition. you, you have to be secure in your relationship. Chris Owen says you aren't going to read the boring, uninterested motions and petitions either, right, Steve? I don't know. I'll look through them because I always, there may be something hidden in there, and regardless if there's not, there's going to be a lot of people going speculating one way or the other. Marble says I'm a night owl too. I love nights. Mind of Monsters. I was just thinking of you today, Mind of Monsters. I've got your a couple of your emails, and I've got to get to work on and get with Chris on one of those you sent me. Grace, hi Fig, used to be. Thanks for the insight and amazing content. Yeah, the morning watch content's a little bit different than, like I said, we're a little bit looser here, and I appreciate. I have a great community and people in chat that come in here, and we appreciate the support, GCB, and I appreciate your $2. Oh, and I got to turn on the blue light for you. Don't let me forget that. And absolutely, And yes, Jocelyn, Mind of Monsters, you love that name, absolutely. Um, and she is extremely compassionate about what she does. She makes flyers. Her channel is brilliant. It's great. Check her out. Yes, Copper Horse. You have to remind me about the blue. I don't have Mrs. Steve with me tonight. Um, why do I see so many cases in court blaming law enforcement like Murdoch? Has this always been the case? Yes. uh, I can tell you in 20 years, I've never had anyone call me up with good news. Um, and it hardens you for the fact that um, the only time you deal with really good people in law enforcement is when they're the victim of a crime. So you're seeing the really good people in the worst of conditions. And they're angry, they've been victimized, or someone in their family's been victimized, and you're, um, every now and then you get to see when you do get there, when they're in, and they've called law enforcement, and you're on that rare occasion that you get there in time to save the day. Um, uh, that's what it's all about. And then also, it's about that even when you don't make it there in time, but you do everything you can within your powers, and you go out there and you find who did that crime that victimized them, such as with Libby and Abby. The officers involved in that investigation, um, did they wish it to be solved on day one? Absolutely. And they wished it solved on every day up until the day that they served the warrant on Richard Allen. And and it carries a heavy weight with some officers. Some officers never get over it. Do I have cases that I didn't solve and I hate? Absolutely. And I wish that I could go back. But um, when law enforcement messes up, and we're all human, and law enforcement messes up all the time. I've seen it, and sometimes it's due to laziness. Sometimes it's just um, accidents. It's human nature. Things happen, and sometimes you just don't have enough evidence. And regardless, people blame law enforcement. It's so easy to, for the fact that they're the ones that said, and they swore to protect you, and they've swore to do everything they can. And when you don't live up to what that belief is, they'll come after you. I appreciate all the support. Um, yeah, I don't know how true that is, and I don't know at what point. I don't know if it was through metal detecting, and I don't know on what day. But there's been rumors out there that was not found on day one, and it was found much later. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not getting. I worked with a guy that was a submariner. In the in He was an interesting fellow. It takes a special type of person to uh, do that. And I'm not claustrophobic. I used to go spelunking all the time, and I don't have any problem with that. Yeah. Cleaning up is not easy. It doesn't matter. Blood is hard to get cleaned up because you think it's gone, but there's still um, uh, uh, things that luminol and other chemicals will react to. Yeah, Jocelyn, YouTube will blow up. Oh yeah. I saw a video that showed the two sketches of Rich Guy superimposed on top of one another, and it was amazing how much it looked like Rich Guy. But it also amazing how much it looked like so many other people. Those two sketches put together, and it's been done. I did a video on that where I had like 5 or 6 I put together, and but yeah, it was uh, it's amazing. But sketches, like Carter said, they're not photographs. Oh, you don't. How do you prevent blood from a crime scene? Now, if you're talking about us transferring, getting on us. We get in it too. I mean, you know, they make special booties, and when I early days they didn't have all of that, but once the CSI and all the um, uh, training came in, it got better. But now, not all departments um, take all the necessary protocols and safety uh, in mind, and there's still a lot of cross contamination. It's almost impossible, and you have to be so mindful that you don't cross contaminate for the fact that the defense will absolutely eat you up. Chris he's doing a survey. Anyone else here besides me not going to look at the documents? Oh, that's funny. Sharon is waffles napping. Yeah, he's exhausted. He's bone weary. Steve loves my sources. Absolutely. That was funny. That was funny, and it is funny because I thought it, and I said, if I thought that, how many other people thought that? It was, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love it. And Fig is a brilliant guy, and Fig is a funny guy too. He's witty. Gail, thank you. $10 super sticker. Appreciate it. Yeah, Fig. I I cried last night when we were discussing that. But I appreciate all the support tonight, guys. It really means a lot. Yeah, GCB, what that does to a human. Yeah, it's terrible. WO 22 ammo and life insurance policies equal true love. Yeah. Kind of monsters, anything I can ever do for you, I will do. You've been one of my biggest supporters from the get go, and I thank you for that. Um, I haven't been here a long time. What she was doing was long before me, and the recognition that she deserves, and people like her, because there's a whole group of smaller channels, and like I said, I've grown for whatever reason I've grown, but these smaller channels that do what Mind of Monsters and like I said, there's hundreds and thousands of them out there that uh, constantly put out those missing children posters, and as and they work together. So I absolutely respect all of them. Mr. Steve, do you think that BK was just that stupid enough to think he's gotten away with that atrocity, at least for a while? All of them do. I mean, that's part of being a psychopath and a narcissistic individual, that they're smarter than everyone. And did he go there with the intent to get caught? No, no, I don't believe so. Because if he did, all he had to do is do the crime and then sit on the sidewalk, and that didn't occur. So, um, but most of them always, through their narcissistic ways. Hello, Christina. Good to see you. And Mrs. Steve's asleep tonight. She's got all the puppies. Um, that's a good question. Oh my God. I can't believe the trial is in January. Do you think Alan will even make it till then, Steve? Not on the course that he's heading on. If it's truly something that he can't control, because I don't know. I'm not an expert, but they're going to have experts now. At a certain point, if he physically declines to a certain point, and he's doing it intentionally, um, there's things that will happen medically, and you know, I hope he makes it for the fact that we deserve Libby and Abby. I don't deserve anything, but the families of Libby and Abby, and they deserve to know exactly whatever they want to know. If they want to know every detail, they deserve to know every detail, and uh, and that's up to the families. Yes, the moonshiners in a dry county. My uncle had five full payout life insurance policy, and the aunt became the richest woman in town instantly. Uh, yeah, I my grandfather was a moonshiner. There's some uh, there's probably three old stills. He died in '59, but even when I was after my father passed and we split up the properties and I built my home, I was working on a bulldozer, and I turned up an old tree stump, and of course, in that tree stump hole was five half-gallon jars of they had already rusted out, and the old metal lids rusted out on them, and they contained some liquid, but it wasn't anything that you could drink. And said, "Mr. Steve, I don't have a gun, so if I got ammunition as a gift, I would just have to throw it at the bad guys." Well, Mrs. Steve has firearms. She has quite the collection of firearms, so she's got something a little bit better than just having to throw them. And Grace, and every woman needs a firearm, and everyone, I believe that everyone should absolutely um, uh, know how to use one, and see if they like it. If they do, get you one, but don't get one if you can't be responsible for it. It's a huge responsibility. Lola says, keeping everything sealed make doesn't help Richard Allen's cause at all. It makes people think he's so guilty that it's not possible to pick an impartial jury, guilty in the court of public opinion. And you know, do I believe he's responsible? Yeah, my opinion is it is, and I wouldn't be on a jury, but they will find a jury. They'll and they will bring it into the county, and but they will find a jury. Um, it's not that you don't have to have knowledge of it. You just cannot have an opinion uh, uh, that an individual is absolutely guilty or absolutely innocent, and you won't listen to the evidence. And they'll find it. They'll find a jury. And this is true. People forget that when LE goes into a crime scene, their first thought is not evidence preservation, but whether they're victims they can save. And that's true that if there is life, that's above all evidence. And evidence gets destroyed during those, things are moved, things are kicked, things happen. And we have to, because life is the most precious of all. And those choices have to be made, and they're made very quickly. And if it's lost, it's lost. Oh my goodness, we've got Me Too bullets, no gun. Maybe I'll put them in a sock. What was the name of that movie with Charles Bronson? That's what he did. He hit the guy with a sock. Uh, if RA is the culprit, I hope they and pray they have plenty of evidence linking him. I do too, and I believe they do. I absolutely do. We got another blue light for something. Um, I don't know what the blue light is, but I'll go ahead and do the blue. If I missed it, whatever you did, I appreciate it because I'm just on StreamYard, and StreamYard is terrible. Oh, this is nice. Feeding a baby bird that fell out of the nest. Hope the little guy makes it through the night. Glad I have you all with me. Absolutely, Blackwood. I hope um, that they do. It's amazing how compassionate people are towards animals, and you see a little bird. Babies are babies. I'm trying to get caught up again. Oh, okay. We had someone that gifted some memberships, and I appreciate that. And who was the one that gifted? But thank you, whoever gifted that, and I appreciate it. And someone will tell me here in a minute who that was. I watched that video of the pool tournament Richard Allen was at. I was like, darn, everyone there looks like BG. They all dressed the same. Let's see here. Hey, Mr. T, ever consider getting field trips going for your fans? I don't know what you mean by field trips. Um, but yeah, um, I think Ruckus, when we come back from Iowa, Ruckus has some of his fan club, and uh, and I, some of them are also part of mine, I guess. We both share a lot of the same subs, and they're trying to get together in Delphi, and hopefully that comes to pass. And I look forward to seeing everybody out there if that's what one of the field trips are. But and but whenever I travel, and like when I was in Texas doing that, um, there was probably we could have used some extra hands. So um, anyone ever, if I'm in your area, just let me know. I always have something to do, or we'll sit down and have coffee. Yes, Triple S. That's a good point. There were so many people it looked like, and if they wanted to just yes, that use that sketch, they could have absolutely. My son-in-law was in the Navy for 8 years, listening to the Wells. Everybody listens to. My my brother was in the Air Force, and they even listened to the Wells. I found that strange. I don't know why, but he knew about Wells. And I think this is going to be true. I'm guessing when we get to see the entirety of the BG video, it's going to be like, oh yeah, that's him. And I'm hoping that's the case. Um, I absolutely do. Sharon Everts, good to see you. Yes, and Mind of Monsters, that is the title of her YouTube channel. She changed it recently, or maybe not recently, but she changed it. Roxy. Well, I hope that's true that Becky has that they got some great news, and that's huge if she did so. Family deserves it. Oh, it says, Steve, in your opinion, does how these girls were left seem to jive with Richard Allen's demeanor? Those type of offenders have never seemed to suffer mental stress. He seems to mentally weak to and fragile. At the time of the crime, he showed no mental weakness for the fact that anyone, and like I've said before, the individual that was able to commit those crimes and within hours go back into society, go back to his job as if nothing happened, and watch law enforcement and the community panicked, and and he have the ability to function under the radar and no one suspect him, and not act suspicious, and contact law enforcement and get cleared early on through those measures. Yeah. Black Widow says, "Yay, the bird made it. I was a nervous wreck." We all love Mrs. Steve. Um, Used to be, how many cases do you file at one time? Are they mostly cold cases? Also, moonshine is a polish of life. Um, I file a lot of cases. I only work on 2 or 3 at a time. Um, and I spent all day today. Uh, I spent last week one set of tests. I've got another set of tests this week. Just finished them up today. Shot guns all day into a water tank through different materials for testing of what was at the crime scene. And next week I go to the ballistic gelatin section of the of the cold case that I'm working on, and just trying to get some answers for the families. Grace says that she has a lot of guns. Yeah, Charles Bronson. What was it? Uh, Man, I can't think of the name of the movie. Did Allen confess to the homicides or to just being involved? I don't know what the exact words were, but um, the attorneys, I would think it's going to be pretty severe for the fact that if it wasn't, his attorneys would have just washed it off as but they're blaming it on his mental stress and his decline in mental capacity, and there's a reason for that, um, and that they're inconsistent and everything else. So they're going to try to do what they can do with it, but thank you, DCB. I appreciate everything y'all do for me. Absolutely appreciate your support. Couldn't do it without you. Um, yes, please do try to attend. I, I, I don't know. I think we're going to try to get back down into Delphi on the 16th, or be there by the 16th. Um, we're going to be in Iowa all the way till the 15th, but it's not that far, so we're going to try to get down there as best we can. Spend a day or two down in Delphi for. Um, uh, there's some other. While I'm in Indiana, I have another case I'm working on, and but we'll get Ruckus to spend some time. Does anyone know Richard's actual last name? I know he was adopted. I don't know. A good question. Jeff, good to see you. Austin Christian, good to see you. Dale, good to see you. Seeking Rainbows, good to see you. Lisa Woody, right on Josephine. I may have been missing some names, guys. I appreciate y'all all showing up. Appreciate it. Steve, if you did the crime scene in Delphi when you came here, would you be able to find anything? Actually, I've got a crime scene that I created last fall. I've processed it 2 or 3 times, and I'm still keeping up with, because in the CSI world, whenever we went and processed outdoor crime scenes, they were fresh, even through the training part. They'd go out and distribute the blood spatter, and we'd go out and process it. So it was all relatively new. Um, and we never really looked at it. That's how come the body farm data, that they'll go out there and they'll process it, and they know those numbers. Um, and I'm sure there's charts and things out there about how to process long term. And but I've never experienced that, never looked at it, and I've got to go back. And actually, I think I'm out of luminol. I know I got plenty of synthetic blood, but I may not have luminol, or I may have luminol. I don't know. I have to go see what I got. And but I'm looking over in the corner where the lab is to see what we have. But I wouldn't be able to find anything now, but I would have loved to have been there on day one. Yeah, Jeff, we were talking about that 5.37 octillion likelihood that it's him, that you wouldn't be able to pick out any other individual. Absolutely amazing. Uh, Deb says, what other case in Indiana? Right now, the family and I, we're still working on it, and there's certain things that have to be done prior to releasing the name. And they do wish it to be released, but it'll probably be late July before we get all the testing and meeting with the attorneys and see if we can have an impact and get it back into the courts. And that's what we're trying to do currently. Right on, Josephine. He says, evening, Steve. Good morning. That's correct. It's the morning watch. Have you come across any information that moves the Stephen Smith case forward? No, I'm so waiting for that grand jury to see that if there is a grand jury that has been impaneled, that's huge. Um, Now, are they using it as an investigative tool, or are they using it for indictments? And hopefully, they're using it for indictments. It's like all these cold cases, they're so hard that you're out there doing things and you're just trying to keep bringing attention to the case so that the one person that has that one tip will get it to the law enforcement. Thank you, Gil. Appreciate it. So thankful for what you do. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Hello, Lisa. I don't think he could have been psychotic at the time because he was sharp enough mentally to admit he was there as to appear open and honest with law. Yeah, and that's the thing. These psychopaths, not the psychotics, because there's and I'm sure that there's professionals out there that can make it heads and tails of that. When you see a lunatic walking the trails or the roads or going about life, that you see this madman. And that's not what some of these um, more organized offenders are. Mentally, they're just as evil as they can be, but uh, they're also smart enough that they don't want to get caught. They're well organized, and that's how come we look back and you see the BTKs of the world, um, Ted Bundy's, and you see these people, and they were able to, while maybe odd at times, but they're able to operate and don't stand out in society. Um, what do you think Delphi will release this week? Well, I was hoping at least for a search warrant or probable cause affidavit or two, and I hope that still is the case. But a lot of people are going along towards, with the gag order still being out there, that it's going to be a nothing burger and it's just going to be motions and stuff. But we'll see. I'm just, uh, don't spoil my Christmas. I won't open those presents and hope that there's something there. Chris says Alan doesn't even have a criminal history, but maybe he did have a twisted, sick, secret obsession. And that's the thing is, uh, uh, not everyone that has committed crimes is ever caught and is recognized for those crimes. And do I think that he has deep, dark, twisted history? Absolutely. Will we find out about it? I don't know. Yeah, Lisa and Deb, yes, the one tip. I have missed a lot of his case in the last few days. I will have to catch up. Do you think RA is doing this to himself as a defense strategy to appear mentally unstable? That first picture that came out when he's in the orange jumpsuit and he has the food stains or whatever's on his shirt, um, that was, I believe, structured. I really do. For the fact that someone took that picture and got it outside the jail, and they did it for a reason. And is it still part of that? It could be. Uh, but looking at him, and I'm hoping that if he has broken, that we see some type of admitting to the courts. Because if he has been confessing and he's reached that part in his of life of that's what he wants to do, he's probably confessed to far more than just the professionals. Um, and I believe there are some professional people and people that are within the state employ that have heard him make these confessions for the fact that if it was just a jailhouse rat or someone that's in the jail, they would have, easily said that that's just an inmate. But that's not what the prosecution or the defense said. And so I think it's someone that uh, has a respectable background that when they take the stand to testify to what he told them, they'll be believed. Deb, Mr. Steve, do you think the girls were moved and then brought back? I have no doubt that the girls were moved in the crime scene, and I believe that's within the tape. Now, if you're saying were they taken miles and or uh, even a mile away and then brought back, no, I don't think so. That terrain to do that, so is that if when people go out and they take a, someone against their will and they transport them away from a crime scene or a known location, the risk of bringing them back to the place where you know that the search parties are is so high and that law enforcement may be there and family members are there and just doesn't make sense. Um, so I don't think so. Ann says, in my opinion, RA is deliberately losing weight so as not to resemble the video the girls took. That kind of drastically devious manipulativeness has convinced me in my mind that he's potentially guilty. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. When I saw him walking about, I said, that's a defeated man, and I've seen defeated men. I've seen it where they had all the confidence in the world and within minutes, you know, that they realize, oh, this isn't going anywhere like I planned, and I and you know, uh, and they get defeated in a lot of different meanings of the word. But yes, and I has his evilness caught up with him? Possible. Steve, I agree with you on the stage to make him appear other than okay. I understand Rich Allen was just coming off work detail and didn't get a chance to clean up and shower prior to the picture being taken. Yeah, it was put out there by someone that had an agenda. But the amount of weight that he's lost since then, I mean, he lost weight in that picture, but you wouldn't even recognize those two individuals as being the same. And yeah, I hope, Blackwater, you're correct that he's fit for trial. Absolutely, I hope so. And that's a fair enough statement also. Yeah, he did cut his eyes over there. And then, of course, um, but, we're just looking at a short video. And, but if he's painted himself into a corner that no one thought, or I bet you his defense attorneys never thought that he would do what he's done. Steve, the warden said that he was just fine until he got the paperwork from the courts. I've seen so many times that people got paperwork that's absolutely destroyed them. Um, we had a call one time. There's a man that he got paperwork through a divorce proceeding, and when we arrived at the boat ramp, he was going out to enjoy his service from his wife about their um, splitting up. And as he backed his boat into the water, he forgot to unhook it from the trailer, and it yanked his uh, boat trailer, his boat, which was attached to the trailer, his Cadillac, took it all out into the lake. And the first thing that washed ashore was his paperwork. And you talking about a mad individual. Uh, that paperwork is haunting. All right. Well, guys, we've been here over an hour, and appreciate everybody. Anybody got any other questions? I'll answer a few more if we have. And but absolutely appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate all the mods, everything y'all do for me, um, and everything. And we appreciate the support and the donations tonight. It means a lot to me. Um, and you know, Uh, it does aggravates everybody that, but that's what attorneys do. They have to try to make out that either their client is not guilty, and sometimes that the state is putting everything on them, and to make them the victim more than what the actual victims are. I don't remember if it was no. I don't think Bundy. Um, uh, Really, I mean, he had his moments in court, um, but yeah, there's a lot of people that are mentally unstable out there. Thank you, Grace. No, I haven't. Is there a new? Says Steve. Did you see the interview with the attorney for Stephen Smith? No, I haven't seen the latest one. If there's a new one out. All right. Well, guys, like I said, I appreciate everybody being here. If you would, before you leave out or as you leave out, hit the thumbs up. And if you like the video, share it, pass it along, tell your friends to sub and everything. The channel's growing. And the larger footprint we have, it allows me to go out and do certain things I can't do without. And we absolutely appreciate it. Um, and but y'all stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all in a few hours because it's already Thursday. Bye bye, guys. Thank y'all. Thank you, Grace, for sending that to Mrs. Steve. Appreciate it.